Hey kids, how are y'all doing? I hope y'all are doing well. It's good to see you. I miss you. Well, I can't see you. You can see me. Hopefully, one day soon we'll see each other again. I'm coming to you from different parts of the chapel throughout the week, so you might see some of the posts on Facebook on our Calvary page. And I'm going to be sharing stories with you from the chapel this week. I miss being in the chapel. I don't know about you. It might be good to see something familiar for a change instead of just being out in the garden and your teachers being in their homes and everything. So I thought it would be nice to come here and be with y'all this week. It's a special time in the church. And if you remember, this past Sunday was Palm Sunday, and that's when we celebrated Jesus and we remembered him coming into Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover, riding on a donkey, and everybody shouting Hosanna to the Lord in the highest, and laying down palm branches at his feet and cloaks on the ground, recognizing him as a king, as the king that was going to come to save them. They were shouting Hosanna, which means save us. What a beautiful, amazing image that is. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Maundy Thursday and about what that means. And I'm going to read a story for you from our Bible, our children's Bible, and we're going to talk a little bit about that story. I picked this stained glass window behind me, and I hope you can see it okay. If you've probably never seen this one before, because it's up at behind the altar. It's actually right behind the piano where Miss Cookie sits and plays. And if you look, you can see there's Jesus, and he's got a cup of wine, and he's sharing it with his disciples around him. And that, my dear friends, is part of what Maundy Thursday is. It's when Jesus celebrates the Last Supper with his disciples. So let's read the story. The first one we're going to read is about Jesus washing his disciples' feet. Jesus and his disciples gathered together for a special Passover meal. Jesus knew he would be leaving them soon. After supper, Jesus removed his outer clothing and he wrapped a towel around his waist. And then he filled a bowl with water, and Jesus washed and dried the disciples' feet one by one. Then it was Peter's turn. He said to Jesus, "Lord, you should never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "I must wash your feet for you to be a part of my kingdom." Then he said to them all, "As I have washed your feet, you must wash each other's feet." By doing this, Jesus showed how to love and serve one another. There he is, washing Peter's feet. Jesus told them, "One of you will turn against me tonight." The disciples were shocked and said, "Jesus, we would never do that." Who would do that? Who will turn against you?" John asked, "The one I give this piece of bread to," Jesus said. And then he handed it to Judas and said, "Do what you must." And Judas quickly left. This act that Jesus washed his disciples' feet was one of true servanthood. Jesus was a leader, yes, he was a leader of his people, but he was the true definition of what it means to be a servant leader. You see, the best leaders of all are the ones who care about their people more than themselves. The best leaders of all are the ones who put their people first. And you may think, washing feet, that's not that big of a deal. How is he showing servanthood by washing his disciples' feet? You see, that act was an amazing one because the main mode of transportation in Jesus' time was walking, especially the disciples with him. They walked everywhere together. And if you think about what they wore on their feet, sandals, they weren't covered, and the roads weren't paved, they were dirt roads. And the other common ways of transportation were animals, donkeys, camels, horses. And what do they leave behind in the street? I'll let you use your imagination on that one. So their feet were probably really dirty. And that job, it was common in homes for people to wash their feet whenever they came into the house. And that job was not for the head of the household or for the servant who was serving the food. That job was for the lowliest servant. And Jesus took it upon himself to wash his disciples' feet and put himself in that position. And that shows unimaginable love and servanthood for his people. Then Jesus did something else. He picked up a loaf of bread and he blessed it. And then he broke it into pieces. And he gave the bread to his disciples to eat. Jesus said, "This bread is my body. Every time you do this, think of me." And in the same way, he took a cup of wine and blessed it and gave it to his disciples to drink. "This is my blood. It's poured out to forgive sins of many." The time has come for me to go away. Where I am going, you cannot go yet. I'm going to heaven to prepare a wonderful new home for you, but I will return to you very soon. At first, you will be very sad, but do not be frightened. Soon you will understand and be filled with joy. I miss you all. I love you all very much. That word Maundy, just so you know, means commandment. And on that night, Maundy, Thursday, when Jesus washed his disciples' feet and he shared the Last Supper with them, the bread and the wine, he gave them 2 new commandments. He gave them commandments to remember him by sharing the blood, or the cup of wine and the bread, his body and his blood. And he said, do it often. Remember me. Do it as many times as you want. Remember me. And then the next commandment he gave was probably the hardest of all. He said, I want you to love one another as I love you. Not as You love yourself. We hear that all the time. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Right? Jesus says, I want you to love one another as I love you. I love you all, friends, and I'll see you soon. Bye.